Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and today I'm going to show you how to make a card from the catalog. It's not using the same stamp set as the card from the catalog is using. I've totally changed everything up except for the layout, and I'm going to be using a blender pen with bleach. Just for a part of it, just to make coloring a little quicker. So let me show you what we're going to do. Today I'm using the Cheerful Basket stamps to create this card found on page 5. So I have changed literally everything except the basic layout, but even the sentiment is going to be in a different spot just because this stamp is different than that. The shape is different. So just hang on just a second and you'll see what I mean. You don't need a lot of cardstock for this. I'm going to be using a standard A2 size card base in crumb cake. So this is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and then I scored it at 4.25 inches to fold it. I have just a scrap of real red, a scrap of basic black, a scrap of early espresso, and then for the inside of the card I have a 4 by 5.25 inch piece of basic white. Okay, the other stamp set I'll be using is this Charming Sentiments stamp set, and I'm also going to use the full basket dies. This coordinates with the Cheerful Basket stamp set, and then the Sentiment Silhouettes dies, which coordinates with the Charming Sentiments stamp set. I really love this one because you can cut out your sentiments and it looks like you fussy cut, but it was just a die and it was really quick. Okay, so I'm going to start by stamping the basket. I forgot to tell you about the ink. So you need your blender pen to use with a little bit of bleach, and make sure you label both because you don't want to get these mixed up with anything. Then you need a dark Old Olive Stampin' Blend and your black memento pad, and that's really all you need other than Versamark and white embossing powder. But if you don't have those, no problem, you can just stamp with the memento on a scrap of basic white instead of doing the heat embossing. Okay, so I'm going to ink up my basket with the Memento Tuxedo Black. Then I'm going to just stamp it right there. Looks good. And then I'm also going to stamp the apples on the real red cardstock using the same ink. See if it'll go this way. It sure will. Okay, so that's all of that we need. And then I'm going to take the blender pen and I'm going to just dip one end. Both ends are the same, so it really doesn't matter. I've used both with my bleach, so I'm just going to dip it in, and then I just want to color this handle, or discolor this handle, I guess is what I should say. Oh, I got out the lines a little bit, but that's alright, it'll be fine. So I'm going to let that sit for a minute, and then for the apples, I want them to have green leaves, so I'm going to go ahead and run my bleach pen just very gently over all these leaves. You can always bleach it again if you need to. Okay. And just like you do with a regular blender pen, just kind of rub some of that bleach out. We'll be using that again for just a second in a little bit, but not a lot more. So you see how this handle is lighter now, like a handle sometimes is on a basket. I don't know, I just like the difference in color for those things. And then the apples, I'm going to take that blender pen now, and I'm going to go back over all of these leaves and color them green. And you don't have to bleach them out if you don't want to mess with the bleach. I just feel like it makes the green show up a little bit better. You can see the difference. So here it's a little bit darker and here it's just a little bit brighter. You want to be careful you don't use too much bleach on your cardstock because it will eat all the way through your paper. And I don't recommend this technique for scrapbooking. I don't think the long term will hold up. I haven't tested it, but I just don't see that being a thing. Okay, so now I'm going to get my Versamark out. I've got my embossing buddy. I'm going to use that to wipe down the part of my black cardstock that I'm stamping on. I'm going to ink up my thank you with the Versamark. I'm going to stamp this way. And then I'm going to use white embossing powder, and I like to just pour my embossing powder over my Versamark and then tap it off. I used to just kind of scoop it in the tray, but I feel like pouring it over, I feel like it sticks a little bit better and it has better coverage that way. Have just a few stray pieces of embossing powder. There we go. Okay, let's heat that up. Okay, so now we can get out the mini stamp cut and emboss machine and start using those die cuts. Okay, so there's our apples, and I want 3 more apples. So I'm going to go ahead and place these 2 on here. And then I'm going to cut 1 more out. Okay, and now I'm going to cut out that basket. And I'm also going to use this tiny little leaf die and cut out these 2 leaves using the Early Espresso cardstock. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this one down because it's wanting to move every time I put my plate on. I'm just going to use a little bit of Post-it tape. I'll put a piece here at the bottom, and then I'm going to put a piece here at the top. Just enough to hold that still long enough to run it through. Okay, so I'm going to use that bleach again on these leaves. Just barely tapping it in there. Then I'm going to go over each little section of the leaf just a little bit. Had that one upside down. Okay, then rub that bleach out. Okay, so I'm going to add some green back into these leaves. You've got to give it just a little bit to let that bleach work before you start adding your color back on. And you've really got to be careful with this. The early espresso is so dark, it would be easy to kind of keep going with that and bleach too much to get it really light. So you just want to do it a little bit, and it will be darker than on the flowers, or not the flowers, the apples, and that's okay. So I'm just using a tiny bit of liquid glue, and I'm going to put this on two of the flowers, and it is totally fine that I've got glue on the front of this. It's not a big deal. It will dry clear, so it won't be super obvious. Oh, I got way too much on that one. So there's our apples. And so now it's time to start layering our card together. So you want to start with your crumb cake card base. And then I can't remember if I told you about this piece or not. I don't think I did. It is a 2 1/4 inch by 5 1/2 inch piece of Rustic Harvest. I really think you could use pretty much any of the black and white images, and even some of the colors that are in this designer series paper pack. There's a lot of great things to choose from in this one, but I consulted my oldest daughter, and she said she liked the leaves the best, so that's what we're going with. It was my first choice too, but like I say, there's so many great designs in that one, it was hard to narrow it down for sure. Alright, so I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals to add this basket next. And I'm not putting the dimensionals all the way against the edge. I'm kind of bringing them in a little bit. And just because I like to use dimensionals, I'm going to go ahead and put an extra one in the center there. Probably not necessary, but I would prefer to use too many rather than not enough. So the reason why I didn't put them all the way to the edge is because I want to have an apple falling out of the basket. So I'm going to just use liquid glue on this one. Ooh, dropped it in my lap. Okay, and then I'm going to place it like it's tumbling out of the basket right here, and I wanted it a little under the basket. So I didn't want to run into any dimensionals whenever I was putting that down there. Then I'm going to have another basket. Where are my words today? Another apple. And I'm going to place it right about there. And then I'm going to use dimensionals again to attach the apples that go in the basket. And again, I like to use dimensionals. So you could probably get away with 2 or 3. Personally, I would do at least 3, but then again, I like to use extra, so I'm doing 4. So you just slip this right under the basket, get it lined up the way you want it. So I want all the stamped pieces to be just about in there. That looks good. And then I'm going to use, you could use the regular Stampin' Dimensionals, but I'm going to use the black Stampin' Dimensionals for this black cardstock. let's see, I was going to put this one here at the top, and then I'm going to put this one down here on the other corner. There we go. And then for the inside, I have that piece of basic white cardstock, and I'm going to add this extra apple to that. I'm just going to put it right here in the corner. And then I'm going to use that liquid glue again to place this inside the card. And there you go. There is our Apple Basket thank you card using Cheerful Basket stamps and the coordinating dies. And with a little touch of bleach. Let's see if you can see that a little closer. See how those leaves turned out and that handle with the bleach on it. You can see I messed up a little bit. I might add, no, I'm just going to leave it like it is. No, I'm going to add just a little dab when I get through here with the light, I don't know, I may use a blend and add a little bit of brown back to that. I can't remember what browns I have. And I will give it a little shaded look and it'll be absolutely okay. Okay, so then this one, it's another piece of that Rustic Harvest Designer Series paper. Just thought you might want to see the difference. And see which one you like better, but like I said, there's so many that you could choose from in that set. And then just a reminder to show you this is the card that we cased. So you can see it's the same basic layout, the same basic idea. I made my strip wider and then just changed, well, pretty much everything, but that's where the idea came from. Thank you so much for watching my video today. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more and haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I am going to be doing 12 weeks of Christmas via email, so if you would like a new Christmas project idea, it could be a card, a tag, maybe a gift wrapping idea. It'll be different each week, but each week I will be sending out an email with a tutorial for a Christmas project of some sort. So if you would like to be part of that, then look down in my description and you can click on the link to sign up for my newsletter. So you will get my monthly newsletter or weekly newsletter, but you'll also get that 12 weeks of Christmas project tutorial. And so if you sign up this week, you'll get all 12. If you sign up next week, you'll get 11, and so forth. So if you don't want to click the link in the description, if you're watching somewhere where you just don't have easy access to that, then you can run over or click over to my blog and sign up for my newsletter there. So thank you again for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Happy stamping!